The Xi'an JH-7A, known in China as the Flying Leopard or the Faibao, and to NATO as the Flounder, is a modern, two-seat, twin-engine fighter bomber in service with the PLAAF and the PLANAF. As a capable CAS and anti-shipping platform, the JH-7A offers many strong capabilities to Chinese aviation, both in real life and in War Thunder. In November 1977, the Xi'an Aircraft Company started work on a successor to the Nanchang Q-5, which was a heavily modified strike version of the J-6, itself being the Chinese designation for the MiG-19. Xi'an envisioned a larger, two-seat aircraft in the same league as the General Dynamics F-111 Aardvark, the Sukhoi Su-24 Fencer, and the Panavia Tornado IDS. After 6 years of R&D work, made harder by competing requirements from the Air Force and the Navy, the design finally came out as the JH-7, JH being Chinese for fighter bomber. The result was a decently large aircraft built around WS-9 engines, themselves being copies of Rolls-Royce Spays found in-game on the British Phantoms. 50 of these engines had been delivered to China in 1975, and a license agreement was signed a year later. The aircraft looked somewhat like a cross between a Seacat Jaguar and a Panavia Tornado, but was significantly larger than either of the two, with the two crew, the pilot and the Wizzo, sitting in tandem. The JH-7 had 7 hardpoints, 2 of which were for PL-5Bs. It was to carry up to 4 YJ-8 anti-ship missiles, also known as the C-801. Alternatively, up to 20 250kg bombs could be carried under the wings. Additionally, the aircraft mounted an internal Type 23-3 twin-barreled 23mm cannon, very similar to the Soviet Gush-23. This was all built around a Type 232H Eagle Eye pulse Doppler radar, as well as a fly-by-wire system. The first prototype JH-7 took flight on the 14th of December 1988. Testing continued for a full decade under high security, with no pictures appearing to the public until late 1996. The aircraft made its first public appearance at the Zhuhai Air Show in 1998, where it was named the FBC-1, Fighter Bomber China 1, or the Flying Leopard, Faibao for short. After completing the first phase of testing, the JH-7 was deemed operational by the Navy in 1994, but full-scale production was delayed due to problems with the WS-9 engines, leading the PLAAF to drop its plans to order the JH-7 and instead order the Soviet-built Su-30 MKK, rendering the JH-7 as purely a naval aircraft. This was given the NATO reporting name of the Flounder. It officially entered service with the PLAN in 2001. In 1999, an improved version of the JH-7, known as the JH-7A, was developed and subsequently entered production. It featured composites in its airframe, lightening it by 400 kilograms, as well as improved fly-by-wire system and better avionics. The most notable of these changes was the new JL-10A Mountain Eagle J-band pulse Doppler radar. The number of wing hardpoints was increased from 6 to 8, and 2 more pylons for equipment pods were added underneath the air intakes, bringing the total to 11. It also gained a new windshield, an additional ventral fin, and lacked wing boundary layer fences. The JH-7A can carry unguided and guided bombs, supported by a laser designator pod, as well as YJ-81K and YJ-82K ASMs. It can also carry new air-to-air missiles, including the PL-5E2, the PL-7, and the PL-8B. Furthermore, for SEAD missions, it can carry the Russian-built KH-31P anti-radar missile. These new changes allowed it to carry a higher weight of munitions, with an extra 1,500 kilo capacity. The JH-7A entered service in 2004 with both the PLAAF and the PLAN. Production of the Faibao is still ongoing to this day. In 2009, a report came out that Xi'an had been in talks with Rolls-Royce and Snecma to acquire new engines for the JH-7. The president of Snecma was quoted as having regular discussions with Chinese authorities about the possibility of including M53 engines on the JH-7, the same engine used on the Mirage 2000, although it's unclear if these discussions ever went anywhere. A limited number of PLAN JH-7As were modified for the electronic warfare role, carrying ECM and ELINT pods in a similar manner to the US Navy Grumman EA-6B Prowler. The JH-7A is perfect for this role with its twin engines and 2 crew, the Wizzo becoming an electronic warfare officer. To this day, nearly 300 JH-7s have been built, the majority of which are JH-7As. The JH-7A was introduced to War Thunder in October 2023 in the Kings of Battle update, becoming arguably the best CAS aircraft in-game upon its introduction. Sitting at 12.3 in Air RB, it isn't the best aircraft for air battles, being outshone in the air-to-air role by other aircraft at its own BR that have IRCCM, radar missiles, and better airframes. Nonetheless, the Flying Leopard in the right hands can still be a force to be reckoned with. Its air-to-air kit is somewhat a relic of the time it was added, predating China's PL-5E2 and PL-8Bs, and instead sporting the PL-5C and the PL-8, both of which are all aspect, and neither of which have IRCCM. Both missiles have advantages, with the PL-5C having the insane reach and speed found in other PL-5s, and the PL-8, being a Python 3, having a lot of pull off the rail. While in most cases, PL-8s will perform slightly better, PL-5Cs are great for either catching fleeing opponents or hitting people in head-ons faster than they can react. As the outer pylons can only carry PL-5Cs, I'd personally recommend bringing 2 of each. With 84 large caliber countermeasures that fire downwards one at a time, it's very much capable of defending itself, although may struggle in super protracted fights against swarms of missiles. As for its flight performance, it benefits greatly from its engines, which offer it high acceleration at any speed. If you're only carrying AAMs, it's fairly fast, being able to go up to Mach 1.6. Its high wing design means that at high speeds it can pull quite a lot of AOA, although at low speeds and altitudes it can really struggle. If you find yourself low and slow, try to level out and speed up as to avoid eating the ground. Your 23mm cannon isn't great, being a Gush 23 water hose, but it can make do in emergencies. As the JH-7A's engines are rather fuel hungry, I'd recommend bringing at least 70% fuel, up to 100% if you intend on loitering for a while, or if you're trying to go for people on their airfield. We'll get back to that later. If you're into bombing bases, which I personally don't recommend, the JH-7A can still go supersonic with a full load, enabling you to take out 2 bases, although you may still lose a race to the bases against many of your teammates. In addition to your PL-5Cs and PL-8s, the JH-7A has a secret weapon that many people aren't aware of, a power that some consider unnatural. 2 all-aspect missiles that can't be fooled by flares. 2 missiles that, if they hit a target, will obliterate it. 2 comically large R-60s. 2 KH-29Ts. While these aren't technically air-to-air missiles, and they don't pull very well, and they don't even have proximity fuses, so you'll have to direct hit, if you pick your targets right, especially those landing or stalled out below you, A-10s are perfect for this, they can be very fun. While everything said in the previous section still applies in ground battles, the JH-7A is much more suited to ground RB. Being at 11.7, it's one of the best CAS platforms at its BR, although due to the lack of a Chinese 11.7 lineup, you'll probably be taking it to 12.0, where, while still strong, it's not the best in class. The first thing to look at in the JH-7A's kit for ground battles is the KADC-03A targeting pod. This pod, also found on the J-10A and J-11B, is very good, offering high-resolution thermals and good zoom, as well as laser designation, which is not built into the plane itself. The first weapon in the JH-7A's CAS arsenal are the KH-29Ts. While these can be funny in the air-to-air role, they're best suited for the air-to-ground role, being TV-guided ATGMs with a very good 13km range. Their warheads, with nearly 200 kilos of explosive mass, will kill practically every tank they hit in a single shot. As you can only carry 2, you'll need to choose your targets carefully. Because they're fast and allow standoff potential, they're best suited for targeting SPAA and other threats to you so that you can go in closer. Targeting vehicles that don't get smoke is best, since KH-29s will lose lock if someone smokes up. If you want to make your targeting better, you can use them through your targeting pod instead of their own seekers, although make sure that locks you get are track locks instead of point locks. The second weapon type in the JH-7A's CAS arsenal are your laser-guided bombs. The Faibao gets access to GB250s, GB500s, and GB1000s. The first and last of these are the best, as they're dual-mode GPS and laser, whilst the GB500s are laser only and lack IOG. These allow the bombs to continue on their course if the laser lock is lost, rendering them perfect. Another hidden advantage of Chinese laser-guided bombs is that their seekers will start following the laser from a much further distance than, say, paveways, allowing them to be much better at hitting moving targets, changing targets, and even suboptimal launches. You can carry the GB1000s on the inner 4 wing pylons, whilst the outer wing pylons can only support the GB250s. As stated earlier, I'd recommend against ever using the GB500s, as their worst seekers make them practically universally worse than GB250s. The third weapon in the JH-7A's CAS arsenal are your GPS-guided glide bombs. You can carry up to 4 of either the LS-250 or the LS-500 on the inner 4 wing pylons. Both of these are fire and forget, and they can be very situationally useful, particularly for hitting either unmoving SPAA or choke points that are frequented by enemies. What makes these more useful in certain situations than laser-guided bombs is that you can fire them from very far away. You can even toss them from behind hills, although make sure to use the map to mark a target point to avoid needing line of sight. The final type of weapon in the JH-7A's CAS arsenal are your unguided bombs and rockets. Whilst these lack standoff capability, the JH-7A does get CCIP, and in situations where there is absolutely no threat of SPAA, can offer you a high potential number of kills, particularly against enemies hiding in smoke. You can carry 22 unguided 250 kilo bombs, either normal or with parachutes to slow them. You can also carry 2 kinds of rockets, the Type 90-1 and the Type 130-2. Between the two, I'd personally recommend the latter, as Type 130s pack quite the punch, being able to one-shot many tanks. That said, you're still significantly better off using the guided weapons, especially as many of them share the same SP cost as the unguided ones, for whatever reason. Whilst your 23mm cannon does get AP belts, they are really quite lackluster, and I'd advise against using it unless you're trying to strafe completely unarmored targets. For spading the JH-7A, there's 2 paths you can take. The first will be if you intend to be spading it in air battles, whilst the second is for CAS in ground battles. For air battles, start with PL-5Bs and then go straight for PL-5Cs. To avoid radar missiles at this point, try to stick low and multipath. Next, grab flares and chaff before going for the G-suit. After that, grab new boosters before moving on to wings repair. Next, you'll want to grab the offensive 23mm and the new 23mm cannons to get you to rank 4. With those done, grab the engine, compressor, cover, EFS, airframe, and fuselage repair. With those done, you can go for ground ordnance. For ground battles, start with the K-ADC-03A targeting pod and the GB250s. Then, grab the PL-5Bs and PL-5Cs so you have something to better defend yourself, as well as free up the PL-8's pylon for CAS. Next, grab the G-suit to help you pull those harder Gs when evading SPAA. Next, grab the Type 250 and the GB500 to get you up to rank 4. Remember to not actually bother equipping the GB500s. After that, grab the KH-29Ts, the GB-1000s, and the Type 500s to finish up the useful ordnance. You're now free to grab flight performance mods, so start with the engine and compressor before grabbing the new boosters, wings repair, airframe, fuselage repair, and flares and chaff. Finish up with the EFS before going for any remaining mods. And that's it for the JH-7A as it currently stands in War Thunder. While it is missing some of its capabilities, such as IRCCM missiles or more anti-ship and anti-surface weapons, it's still a force to be reckoned with. If leaks and rumours are to be believed, there's a chance we'll see a premium JH-7 in the future too. Regardless, I've enjoyed making this video and I hope you've enjoyed watching it too. There'll be a vote up for the next video in my Discord, link in the description. And that's all from me. I've been girltwink, fly safe.